dying is just one of the ways to, not one of the ways, to them dying is the only way to get that peace of mind. So unapata they don't get ample time to figure out if they can do things differently, if they can have people around them to talk about their issues. Instead, they opt to commit suicide because they believe that nobody will listen to them anyway. So the only option they have is to rest and rest in peace. So
In what peace? That's pieces.
it's
You're
pieces for those who are
broken
remaining
beyond
behind.
repair.
For those who are remaining behind, it's pieces. But for the doer, for the person suffering, it's not pieces, it's peace.
A release.
To
You're
them, it's a
released.
relief. Yeah, it's a great relief. So
How do you know where you're going is better? Who says there's a better us?
because in death, you know nothing. Like nothing is happening to you. When you're dead, you're dead.
What if
You're
it was
numb.
just a transition from one life to the other?
You
And you
are
just carry your pain to that life?
you're not carrying the pain to that life.
How
According
do
to
we
the
know?
according to the human mind, committing suicide is going into a world of resting,
Which
going into a
rest?
world of relief, free from seeing people that have tormented you all your life. So to them,
Is there an extinction to the soul? No.
no, that's a perception of someone who hasn't gone through it all. But for this particular person who's going through the suicidal ideations, the suicidal suffering, such like thoughts don't cross their minds.
Hey, they should.
Why? How?
Hey, they
You've been
should.
depressed like all your life. Like, let's take a case of an orphan. Like at some point in my internship, I was handling a suicidal patient, and this is a person, a very young girl, who was left by the parents. The parents died on a road accident, and they both passed on at that instance. So you find that this is a lady who was taken up by the relatives, the aunt, and the torment that this lady was put through was just too much for her to bear. She dropped out of school at Form 3. She had dreams, and by then, from the way I was interacting with her, this was a very intelligent person, very intelligent. But then, dropping out at Form 3, nobody's to pay her for the school fees. Like no one is looking up for her good on the side of education. And what she really wanted was to get a better life. Like if I go through the education system, I'll be able to live independently. I will be able to live off the help of other people. But yes, there's nobody who was willing to take her through the secondary school education to attain whatever she wanted to attain.
Can we say at times all this is a matter of strength in the perception of how strong you are is what leads you to dealing with it? Kwa mfano, a street child is out there, never gone to school. They have to survive the lack of shelter, lack of food, lack of family, no friends, always being chased around, not wanted, but they just grow up and grow old in the streets, not caring.
Yes.
But you got a privilege of having a parent, no matter how short it was, at least you saw them.
Yeah.
You've studied to Form 3. You didn't lack a complete education. So what's wrong?
What's wrong is you are used to a good life. Then suddenly that life is cut short. Nobody's there to talk to you through the transition of having that good life and changing into another life which is not as good as the one that you had lived before. So you're finding this is a child who's going through like it's a torrent of events, one after the other. Your parents have died, you've moved from your place, you've left your home, you've left the environment that you're so used to as a child. Then you're coming to a new environment which is a bit hostile to you as a child. It's not like conducive. You know, having a parent is like having your God around.
But let's say there's a coincidence.
Like,
Every event happens to you in the same manner. Yet you end up depressed. And someone else gets a motivation to do better with their life from that. Yes, I've dropped out in Form 3. I've studied this and this and this. I can help myself in this and this and this and this. Yet you're there having those suicidal thoughts, killing yourself slowly. Life is not enough. I wish they were here. They wish I were here. At the end of the day, you two meet and their lives are two different worlds apart, yet they've gone through the same thing. So what will we say? Is that a form of mentality, negativity and positivity?
I wouldn't say so. Because, as I said before, you see, like, these are two different. There's a difference between a child growing up in town and a child growing up in the rurals. Then there's also what we call the survival mechanism.
Life is life.
Yeah, no, life is life. I don't dispute that. But trust me, there's a difference between a child being raised in the urban area and a child who's growing up in the back in the rurals. So you bring these two minds together, there's quite a diversity in terms of thinking, in terms of survival techniques, in terms of resiliency, the resilience that they bear within them. So many children who are brought up in soft life. Let me call it soft life because back home people live in hardship.
Yeah.
Most of them live in hardship.
Yeah.
Like they know how to survive from time to time. Even with the changes of the events, with the turnover of events, they'll survive. So they're taken to a relative, but they know back home life wasn't this smooth. There was no bread in the morning, so. Yeah, there's bread. I can survive. So you take a child who's been bred in this bread and going back home, and of course, not with familiar faces, with strange faces, and there is just the sweet potatoes. And she's not used to sweet potatoes. Like she's never taken sweet potatoes before. We have these parents who don't do our local breads back home, like the way we do them back home. So you get this as a child who's going to suffer a lot of psychological traumas, and because nobody understands them, everybody just expects that this is a child they will adapt. But there's nobody who is sitting them down to talk to them that this is what has happened, and from this time on, maybe we're not going to be able to give you the much that your parents were giving you, but we're sure we're going to be here for you. That is enough for a child. And you keep assuring them every other time on the same issue, they'll get to adapt slowly. But you take a child from a soft life, you bring them to your places, you make them your house helps, you turn them into your house helps actually, and you turn them into house helps that you're not even paying. It becomes tough. It becomes very difficult. And like this child felt like her dreams were shattered. Like nobody's ever going to revive her dreams. Nobody's ever going to stand up for her. So she's the only one who was to stand for herself. So for her to stand for herself, she thought of the only way to do so is to commit suicide.